Good day, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here with you to introduce you to a little bit more about on the Climate Fresk. So to introduce myself, my name is Nina Brulard.
Nina, I'm just so sorry. Shortly, can you unmute yourself? Because I think we hear you, but from Valentin's microphone.
Yes, and it's a struggle. You can't hear me very well.
Okay, the sound is not very strong, but if it's
Okay.
if you don't have a mic, then we can just maybe all participants can just raise the sound on their own computer.
Okay, I'll try to speak louder.
Okay, thank you.
So I was saying that my name is Nina, and I work at the Climate Fresk NGO as an education and public authorities officer. And I'm here with Valentin. If you want to say.
Hi everyone, my name is Valentin. I'm working at the Climate Fresk since nearly 3 years, and I'm in charge of the education and public sector teams.
And so we're, as I mentioned, we're here to introduce you a little bit more about Climate Fresk, the NGO, the workshop. Can go on with the first slide. Okay, so climate emergency, the challenge of the century. Here it is to give you a little bit more insights on the reasons we created first the workshop and then the NGO. So about the premise of the NGO, we believe that bringing awareness about climate issues is key. It is an absolute necessity in order to bring up action. And so we thought that understanding the causes and the consequences, the impacts that disrupted the climate system today, to understand basically the reasons we are in this situation today, was essential to make everyone launch into action and to get on board around the topic of sustainability. So this is why we created a fun collaborative workshop to engage everyone around sustainability and to hopefully make them take impactful climate action. So here you have the purpose of the Climate Fresk NGO, which is accelerating understanding of climate issues at the global level in order to contribute triggering as rapidly as possible the shifts needed to preserve life. So you can see that it's pretty broad, and the idea it really resumes the whole philosophy of the NGO. We want to reach as many public as possible, and as in the best way, of course, possible, but as quickly as possible also, to spread the knowledge of climate change. So here you have some key figures of the NGO and of the workshop itself. So we've reached more than 1 million participants, 1,200,000 participants today. We're very, very proud about this number. We've reached 1 million participants back in April, and we're just hoping that it will keep on growing. You have also the number of facilitators, more than 60,000 facilitators, because of course it's not us at the NGO, the 50 of us that spread the Climate Fresk. We have an amazing community of facilitators that is growing also, and that spreads the Climate Fresk in France, but not only, because you can see that it's present in more than 50 countries today, and it has been translated in more than 50 languages. And again, we're just hoping for this to grow and to keep spreading everywhere. So that's on the NGO itself, the numbers and everything, but what is a Climate Fresk workshop actually, and what is needed to do a Climate Fresk workshop? So again, it's as we mentioned, it's a collaborative workshop. So you will be by a group, of 5 to 7 participants around a table. There will be one facilitator to facilitate the workshop. Another element, very important element, is that you will have 42 Climate Fresk cards. Each card is a representation of a climate change element, so may it be human activities or fossil fuels, such elements, and they will be given by lots. And the idea is that the participants will have to replace them, from the causes to the consequences of climate change, so from left to right, and creating in the end a fresk. This workshop altogether lasts for 3 hours, and an extra 15 minutes before and after the workshop to set up everything. And yes, I think we'll see in the next slide a little bit more detailed the workshop itself. So it is divided in 4 different parts, which relies on the 4 pillars of learning. So the first part is the most important in terms of timing, because it lasts for half of the workshop itself. And it will be really the part where you'll be able to understand the story of climate change. You'll understand what is at stake, what were the reasons, the causes and the consequences, and you'll be really replacing the cards, creating the fresk itself. So it's a part where you're really learning a lot. You discover most of the time a lot of concepts, and it's really the learning part. A second part is the second part is shorter. It is 25 minutes long, around 20 minutes, and it's a part, the creativity part, where the participants will be able to illustrate the fresk. Really, the idea is for them to make it very personal, to make the fresk their own, and it allows them to anchor the learning they have just gained in the first part. There is a third part, which is really important, 15 minutes dedicated to a welcoming of the emotions. So each and every participant will be able to share how they feel really at the end of the workshop. It's a topic that is far from being light, and it is very important for everyone to create a space for everyone to share their emotions. And finally, a final part, which is longer, 50 minutes, which is dedicated to a launching into action. So in a first part, during this final phase, during maybe 5 minutes, the facilitator will share with the participants their elements about climate change, but related to their context. So basically, what are the main causes of climate, of their impacts in their country? So, for example, in France, it's sharing the carbon footprint of a French person. For example, but other elements on climate change, to just put them back in their context, and so they can think about ways to limit their impacts of climate change. So maybe in an individual way, or a collective way. It can also be related to institutions or companies or big organizations. But in order to make them think about this topic and launch into action, really. And yes, I think that's it for me.
So why you should engage in this type of project? Basically, the Climate Fresk is a good way to build a teamwork. It's basically used in different type of organization as a team building workshop. You can also become aware of the complex system of climate change, and also it allows your teams to talk about climate change and what action can be done inside your organization, but also as an individual. The workshop is can be done to everyone. It can be, if you are a beginner, you will explore the topics and dismantle some keys misconception. But if you are an expert, we can go deeper in the climate knowledge, and we can explain more about the different scientific topics linked to the climate risk. So it's basically a good way to everyone to have a better understanding of the climate change causes and consequences. And we can be flexible depending of the level of the attendees to the climate risk. It's possible to do the workshop in person. So basically, the facilitator will provide the climate risk work cards. They will bring papers and pencil to run the workshop. We will need some rectangular table per group of 7. But because of the COVID-19, we create an online version of the climate risk. So basically, how we can run a climate risk workshop online. We will use Zoom, Google Meet, or Teams in order that the attendees talk together, and we will use a whiteboard tool as Mural or Miro to move the cards and to create the climate risk. So obviously, if you use the online version, you will need a stable internet connection and a place to speak loud and to be in order to exchange with the other attendees. One of our strongest points at the Climate Fresk NGO is like everyone can become a facilitator. It's really easy, and you don't need any diploma or any skills. Basically, we will train you to run the workshop, and you have 3 steps to become a facilitator. The first one is to try the workshop as an attendee. I guess most of you try one in Bordeaux this year. So basically, you already have done the first step. The second one is to participate to a professional training, which lasts 7 hours. So it's basically one full day. And after this training, you will be able to run your first workshop. As we know, like it can be a bit challenging to do the first one. So you can be supported by a coach, and a coach is able to support up to 3 facilitators at the same time. Basically, every new facilitator run one workshop with one table of 7. And the coach is here to help everyone with the timing, etc. It's really optional. As soon as you are trained as a facilitator, you can deploy the Climate Fresk as you want in your organization. You are fully autonomous, and depending on the time you have available to run workshop, you will be able to deploy the workshop in the knowledge. The main advantage to have internal facilitator, to be fully transparent, is to save money, because it's way cheaper to have facilitator inside your organization. In addition to that, it will be more engaging for the employees. They will skill up their knowledge about Climate Fresk and how to facilitate a group of people. And you will be able also to create an internal project to deploy the Climate Fresk. Some of our best references that we are really proud about with Nina is we have the European Commission who is engaging in deploying the Climate Fresk workshop. They are willing to run the workshop for 1,000 attendees, and so basically they already train more than 14 facilitators inside their teams. And we have also the European Council European Union Council, who has done like several workshops for more than 100 attendees in September. And after that, we can answer to all your questions. Thank you to listening us.
Okay, thank you so much for all of this and all those informations. If you have any questions, again, you can put them in the Q&A box, the Q&A icon. Otherwise, if you'd rather speak out loud, you can raise your hand in the conversation, and then I will give you the permission to talk and to ask your question. In the meantime, while you're thinking, I'll just go briefly over SALTO Green decision to have this webinar and to focus a little bit on the Climate Fresk workshop. We did this with our green contact points. I know some of you were there in June with us in Bordeaux. Some of you weren't because you weren't available or you weren't green contact points yet. Some of you, I think, also are colleagues of Green Contact Points that were invited to join this because you were interested in this kind of training opportunity. The reason, again, we chose this workshop, as Nina and Valentin explained, it is very interactive. So it is a bit of a teamwork as well. It's not just, a conference when you're passively learning about something. You're building up your knowledge and you're communicating with your colleagues, with your teammates. You're constructing something together. It is also something that's really easy and very quick to organize. If you want to have a session in your agency or your umbrella agency, potentially you could organize that within a week. You just have to find the facilitator, find a room, a table, some pieces of paper. It's very, very low tech and it's very easy. As Valentin and Nina talked about, there's also the options of having a facilitator within your agency, trained by your team or within your team or within your agency. That's a great option. But again, my first tip for you, if you want to get started, would be to go on the website, Google your country, search your country, and check what facilitators are available for you in your language, because you might find that in the university next door, or even maybe within your own agency, there is someone who is ready to have the workshop with you. And then afterward, you can, keep having workshops, keep having facilitators. But this is something that's very accessible very quickly. Okay, so Martina asked, how can I find facilitators in my country? Valentin, Nina, do you want to explain this briefly?
Yeah, sure. Maybe to answer well to this question, Martina, do you want to find professional facilitator to run a workshop inside your organization? If it's your question, the best way is to fill a form in our website, and we will answer you and we will present you different facilitator profile in your country, and we will put you in contact with the facilitator. And if it's in your personal life, if you want to find a facilitator, the best way to do it is to contact a regional referent who is basically in charge of deploying the Climate Fresk for the citizen.
I'm going to put in the chat a link so you can see the country coordinators. It's on our website, but it might be useful.
Okay, very well. And I will be typing out the answers as well. Oh, and I didn't mention, but you will be getting a kind of summary of this webinar as well, with a few notes and the answer to all those questions. Darta also was asking what is needed to get engaged in the Climate Fresk. Who and how is it possible to become a facilitator? So I think you went over this briefly, but just to answer this question, how do you become a facilitator? Who can become a facilitator?
Yes, we mentioned this briefly, but to answer, the philosophy of the Climate Fresk is that everyone can become a facilitator. So you don't need to be an expert in climate change or climate to have done studies related to this topic. Everything, the training given by the NGO, plus all the tools that will be available at the end of the training, again created by the NGO. So basically, it's a facilitator platform, will help you gain in maturity around the topic, and you'll be able to facilitate freely. So there is no prerequisites. The only one is that you must have done a climate fresk workshop previously. Because of course, if you're going to facilitate a workshop, it's really important that you've assisted to one yourself, that you as a participant. So that's really the only prerequisite.
Okay, so really, literally anyone can become a facilitator. Does the Climate Fresk only exist in English? Very important question.
The card has been translated in more than 30 languages. So basically, you have Spanish, German, French. There is so much Chinese. We don't have the exact list of. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're not 100% sure that all European languages are represented, but basically, one facilitator is one or several languages. So you could even have a Climate Fresk in a foreign language in your country. I don't know why, but if, for example, you are in Sweden and you want to have a German Climate Fresk because you have German partners or you have several, I don't know, German beneficiaries, you could absolutely do that. Or have a Climate Fresk in English again in your country if this is the communication language. But again, check on the website. There is a lot of different facilitators, and I think you said the Climate Fresk had been translated in 55 languages or even more.
Yeah, it's always evolving, so we can't follow up. But yeah, I guess it's 55.
For sure.
Oh, okay.
But yes, as you mentioned, we have. If you were to organize a workshop, and the facilitator is a professional one, external to your organization, with the online workshops, it is possible to make someone intervene from another country, so that would be fluent in the language that you're looking for. So there is definitely possibilities and ways to languages to facilitate.
Okay. Alessia is asking, in order to speed up the organization of the Fresk, it could be useful to have sample of the card to be used. Is that possible? So how does that work with the cards?
So up until a few weeks ago, I believe, they were available on our website, but it was the French website, first of all. But it's sorry. Recently, it has evolved, and the cards are actually only available on the facilitators' space. If I'm correct.
Yeah, but we will share with Anne-Louise a sample of cards, and she will share it with you if it's okay.
Definitely. So they're not available to. It's just protection to say that not everyone can spread Climate Fresk without being a facilitator, but of course, giving a sample of the cards or even the deck of cards, I don't see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's not recommended for people to look at the cards beforehand. It's better if they discover it throughout the workshop. But definitely you can print out your cards. The facilitators will bring their own cards. But you could have also, your own material printed and ready to go if you have a few hours and you want to organize a spontaneous Climate Fresk. We have already a workshop planned for staff in December, and I will probably train to be a facilitator. Great. But if I want to organize a workshop with Erasmus Plus beneficiaries, do they have to pay for this? So yeah, maybe that's a complicated question, but basically there are two kinds of workshops. One that happens just spontaneously between friends, between association, in any context, and those are, I think, either €3 or €5 per participant. The ones that you organize within an institution or a company, you have to pay a bit of a bigger amount. Beneficiaries are basically people who are part of the the Erasmus Plus programs. I think if it's organized by Erasmus, it will have to be like a professional workshop, right?
Yeah, if it's for students, it can depend. I mean, like if it's a project with one university, and it will depend basically if you have someone who wants to be trained and wants to deploy the Climate Fresk for Erasmus beneficiaries, there is no need to pay for it. But if you need the help of the NGO to organize it, for sure you will need to pay a bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the best way is probably to just again fill out the form, and then your Climate Fresk contact in your country, or depending on your situation, will tell you like, okay, this is a workshop for students, or this is like a professional workshop.
Definitely.
I think that's the best. Okay. Christianis is asking, how would it work for the first workshop, which is supported by a coach, if the working language would be other than English?
It's a good question. Of course, it will depend of the availability of train and facilitator who are able to run the workshop in the working language. So, for example, if you are in Germany and we do not have any Spanish facilitator, we won't be able to coach someone in Spanish. But if we have some trained facilitator and that are able to talk the language, we will support you.
Okay. Yeah, so again, like they can completely operate in different languages than English. It doesn't have to be in English. It can be your home language, as long as you have a facilitator that speak that language. And that's the case as well for online Climate Fresk, right? You'll see on the website, a lot of them are in English, but you 100% have a German online workshop if needed, or Portuguese, or whatever your language is.
Yeah, it's really easy to organize
okay.
International workshop online.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is it possible to have it organized for all green officers in the NAs? So I'm going to be answering this. That's not an option right now. We're not going to be like SALTO Green. We're not going to be launching all the workshops. The idea is really to give you the autonomy to do this. We consider this, but with the team we have and the work we already have, it just wasn't realistic for us to organize Climate Fresks like some NAs organizing, for example, TCAs. Like we wouldn't be able to be as supple, as adaptive as you needed. So that wasn't really a great option. Really, what we're doing is giving you the option and the tools to do this, so you can organize them yourself, or again, your colleagues can organize them. Your project managers, your CC officers can organize them in their own events. We will not be organizing a wave of centralized workshops where you can register, for example. That's not going to be an option. I hope that answers your question. Okay, thank you, Martina. Isabella is asking, when you are facilitators, are there update trainings sometimes?
That's a great question. So once you become a facilitator, there is no other formal, not formal, mandatory training, but on our facilitator space, there are a lot of resources and MOOCs that can help you practice, and then can help you train, and more than that, deepen your facilitator's position. We also have a Climate Fresk workshop for younger people, so which is the junior Climate Fresk. So there is a MOOC on that as well on the facilitator space. So no mandatory workshop, but you can definitely have other trainings on your own with on your free will, basically.
Okay. Alessia has mentioned that she didn't know that it was available online. So yes, that's definitely a great option. In the context of Erasmus Plus, simply if you don't have enough participants, if you do want to do something with several agencies, or if you don't have a facilitator available at the date that you want to have the workshop on, or if you're organizing some online event and you want an animation or workshop to take part of this, that can also be a very good option if you want to join together participants from different countries, for example. So if you're organizing a TCA and you have the first meetings where everybody gets to know each other, the online option is really great. It's very interactive as well. There is, I think, a Miro board or something like this where you can move the cards around, communicate. So it works really well. I have done it myself. That's a really fun option as well. And okay, Satye is asking, I am planning a workshop next year and I am already in contact with the facilitator. Is it possible to have bigger group than 7 or 10? Otherwise, it is quite expensive, as Valentin mentioned already. So can we have groups for more than 7 or 10 people? How does that work?
It is really important to have small groups to facilitate the collective intelligence. That is why we need to have a group of to 5 to 7 people, but a facilitator is able to lead 2 tables at the same time. So basically, a professional facilitator is able to run the workshop for 14 participants at the same time, even if the 14 participants are divided into groups. I don't know if it's answer your question, Satya.
So you could basically double the group with one facilitator.
Yeah.
And I would say that generally, internal facilitators, recently trained internal facilitators, they won't do 2 tables at the first during their first Fresk because it can be a lot to manage in the first place. So you would generally you would start with 1 table of 5 to 7 people, but professional facilitators, they're really used to it. And they can indeed facilitate up to 14 people divided in 2 tables of 7.
Okay, perfect. And then is there any more questions? Is anybody raising their hand in the chat? I think we covered all the questions. Yeah, I think we're all good. I don't see anyone reacting, so now is the last moment for you to do that if you want to. But it is 1:40, so we have reached pretty much the end of this workshop of 45 minutes. I hope that was pleasant for you if you were having lunch, if you are taking a short break. I hope we kept you company at that time. At SALTO Green, we're always available for you if you have any more questions, if you need more support. As I said, we will not be organizing the workshops for you, but if you have questions, if you need more information, if there is a way we can support you, definitely reach out to us. If you are organizing your own workshops, we would be interested to get to know that as well. We'll try to track the workshops organizing throughout the Erasmus agencies to get a sense of how well it's working. But at some point, if you hopefully the Climate Fresk workshops keep spreading toward the beneficiaries, the TCA, the project managers, all the program participants, then we will have hopefully a hard time tracking on all the initiatives. But at the beginning, let us know if you're organizing your own events. Let us know if this helped, if this answered all your questions. And again, if you have any more questions, the Climate Fresk website is in English. It's available for you, and we are as well available. Any more questions? Anything else? Nina and Valentin, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have a word to say before we say goodbye to everybody?
Thank you so much for your time. And if you have some projects that might include the Climate Fresk workshop, do not hesitate to contact us with the form that we will share with Anne-Louise. We will be here to help you in whatever is your project, or put you in contact with facilitators, or yeah.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much for your attention and interest in the workshop. It's great to see big actors like Erasmus to have interest for Climate Fresk. So thank you very much.
And thank you for all of you, all two of you, for joining us. Thank you for everybody who connected, for taking the time to join this webinar. There was at some point, I think, up to 27 people connected at the same time. So that's great, because it's about half of the green contact points. So a good number, especially since, unfortunately, I organized this on the day where there's National Holiday in Germany. So all our German colleagues couldn't join us. But this whole webinar will be available online on our YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it, show it to your colleagues, find the information that you're missing, and you will get also a short summary of everything that was discussed throughout your email address. Thank you so much, everybody, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Have a good day.